what they say you're going to pay, that we don't have a choice to shop around.
While it's safe to assume no one likes paying more than they have to, good news could be on the horizon for music fans. This, as a jury in New York ended days of deliberation on Wednesday, stating Live Nation and its Ticketmaster subsidiary illegally monopolized concert venues.
Trying to use the market power that it had to basically reduce competition, to basically reduce venues and try to extract more money, extract more rents, as economists would call it, from the sale of tickets. It did this by trying to control the venues, trying to control the performances, and also adding on, as I understand it, various fees and other costs to the distribution and sale of tickets.
The lawsuit alleged Live Nation and Ticketmaster's actions wiped out competition, limiting stages where artists could perform and triggering a surge in higher ticket prices.
Great day for consumers and fans.
The potential aftermath won't be felt for some time, though, as a judge now has to hold a second trial to determine what actions must be taken next.
It may have a marginal effect on ticket prices in the long run for many reasons, one of which is the one that the CEO of Live Nation alluded to. People are willing to pay a lot of money for these tickets. People want to go, and they're willing to pay more. But the question is, where does that money go to? Right now, the problem is it may be going to the monopolists.
Live Nation denies acting as a monopoly, and in a statement Wednesday said in part, quote, "The jury's verdict is not the last word on this matter." Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Good morning. And as you may have noticed,
on Monday, 13 April at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, at the direction of the President, America's Joint Force began implementing a blockade against Iran under the leadership of Admiral Cooper and the team at CENTCOM. Let me be clear, this blockade applies to all ships, regardless of nationality, heading into or from Iranian ports. As of this morning, U.S. Central Command has not been required to board any particular ships. And I'll remind you that we are also conducting similar maritime interdiction actions and activities in the Pacific AOR against those ships that left that area before we began the blockade. The U.S. action is a blockade of Iran's ports and coastline, not a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Enforcement will occur inside Iran's territorial seas and in international waters.
we are locked and loaded on your critical dual-use infrastructure, on your remaining power generation, and on your energy industry. We'd rather not have to do it, but we're ready to go at the command of our president and at the push of a button.
We are in Europe, we have maybe 6 weeks or so jet fuel left. If we are not able to open the Strait of Hormuz, if the refineries as a result will start to work, I can tell you soon we will hear the news that some of the flights from city A to city B might be cancelled as a result of lack of jet fuel. So two big problems: first, the high prices, and second, availability of the gas, availability of the jet fuel, diesel, and others.
So far, 13 ships have made the wise choice of turning around. And as we continue to hold this blockade at the order of the Secretary and the President, any vessel that compares to comply with our instructions will be dealt with accordingly. As of this morning, U.S. Central Command has not been required to board any particular ships. On that bridge, our sailors maintain a constant watch, maneuvering the ship tactically and safely through always congested water space. And there is a lot out there. It is like driving a sports car through a supermarket parking lot on a payday weekend with thousands of kids in that parking lot as you attempt to maneuver through there to get to that ship that would attempt to run that blockade.
Golf ball-sized hail raining down in Ohio on Wednesday. Ohio, one of multiple states dealing with destructive hail over the past few days as thunderstorms and other violent weather tear across the central U.S. Since Monday night, there have been more than 24 reports of tornadoes in various parts of the U.S. heartland, including one that ripped through Clinton, Missouri Wednesday evening.
This one specifically came down and went way up. We had several right in the middle of town that were starting to come down, and we were blessed that they went back up. We're very fortunate that there's no injuries or fatalities.
There is, however, significant damage, and roughly 2,000 residents were left without power. The extreme weather in the central U.S. has also included flooding. In a surprising sight, sturgeon were seen swimming in floodwaters in a village in Wisconsin west of Green Bay. The flooding there got so bad that residents were told to evacuate by Wednesday afternoon, with the situation expected to worsen.
I've never seen it like that. I've seen us flood, but nothing like this.
High water also an issue in Michigan, with a flood watch and flash flood watch put into effect for parts of west central Michigan over concerns about the potential failure of a dam on the White River. According to the National Weather Service, local officials said the river was rising rapidly and might overtop the dam. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
It's bewildering to me that we are here today discussing a budget for 2027 when Congress has yet to enact a budget for 2026. 7 months into the fiscal year, CBP has been shut down more than we've been open. One obvious impact of this funding lapse is the thousands of personnel that have gone without pay for extended periods of time. And until Congress acts, I can't even promise them when they're going to get their next paycheck. But the damage goes beyond the missing wages, and it cannot be fixed by merely doing a back pay restoration.
Our officers and agents are being villainized for simply upholding and enforcing law. But the bottom line is that they risk their lives every day to serve our nation and protect our families, friends, and neighbors. In recognition of their service and sacrifice, one of my top priorities is to ensure that ICE operates efficiently. I can do that by working with you to ensure we have the resources we need to keep our workforce safe, keep the promises made by President Trump, and meet our obligations to the American people. The ICE workforce is depending on you and I to secure those resources.
Our commitment to integrity, security, and service remains unwavering. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that as the longest shutdown in history continues, USCIS strongly asked the House to pass the Senate DHS funding bill and work expeditiously to enact a second reconciliation measure by June 1st to provide sustained funding to our partners at ICE and CBP.
Flush funding the government through a series of bipartisan budget bills that are written in back rooms by Republican leadership driven only by political interest is a recipe for catastrophe. Abandoning the appropriations process in favor of partisan reconciliation bills will come back to haunt this institution. If we go down this road, there is a cliff at the end, and I strongly encourage my colleagues not to do this.
Soaring jet fuel costs due to the war with Iran is causing airlines to jack up prices, and consumers are feeling the crunch.
It is rolling across the global economy. What we've first seen has been pretty intense spikes in the price of fuel oil and the price of jet fuel.
Since the war began, jet fuel costs have jumped 95%, and it's hurting global travel.
In Europe, they're canceling flights, thousands of flights already preemptively because they may not even be able to get enough jet fuel. There are shortages.
Brian Kelly, founder of the travel site The Points Guy, says airlines are passing on those added costs to travelers.
Consumers will have to shell out more, not just on the price of the ticket, but on fees as well.
Several airlines have recently jacked up bag fees. Some of the steepest costs are through American and United Airlines. Both have increased checked bag fees by $10. So it would now cost you $100 round trip to check your first bag. And those fees go up for any extra checked luggage.
Those don't come down ever. I have never heard of a baggage fee that came down once costs came down. So those are forever fees tacked on to airfare.
In many cases, you can save $5 by simply paying online instead of at the ticket counter. Also, Kelly says many airlines will waive the bag fee entirely if you purchase your trip using certain credit cards. Every airline is different, and you have to do your homework on which cards will give you the best deals. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Cable shopping pioneer QVC Group says it plans to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It is the parent company of QVC and HSN. It has a restructuring plan with key lenders and sees the business turning around in 90 days. QVC says it will continue normal operations through the process. Boeing says it is hiring between 100 to 140 factory workers a week, the highest pace in about 2 years. The company is replacing retirees and increasing staffing as it steps up production and adds new models. You're seeing lower prices for some products from PepsiCo, and that's helping boost the business for the beverage and snack giant in the recent quarter. PepsiCo is parent company of Pepsi Beverages, Frito-Lay, Doritos, and other snacks. Its earnings topping expectations in the period. It also has been updating brands, adding protein and fiber to some of its snacks. And a bot might be taking your order for your next Dairy Queen Blizzard. The chain expanding its test on drive-through chatbots to several locations in the U.S. and Canada. The chatbots improve customer satisfaction scores by double-digit percentages. And restaurant tech company Presto says the bots are accurate about 90% of the time. CJ Papa, Fox News.
Every year in the U.S., nearly 1,000 bicyclists die in crashes involving a motor vehicle, and an estimated 120,000 others are taken to the emergency room after being hurt on a bike. Sometimes it's an injury to the head.
Those head injuries come about because they don't have the protection of a helmet. And when I say not the protection, that means they're either not wearing a helmet, they either have a non-compliant helmet, or the helmet doesn't fit properly.
Rich O'Brien is executive director of TIC Council Americas, a trade association that tests, inspects, and certifies products like bike helmets for companies. He says the most protective helmets are ones that meet U.S. consumer product safety requirements, so search for a label inside the helmet that says it's been tested and certified. Next, he says to make sure you're not buying a knockoff.
The best way to do that is to make sure that you buy from a reputable dealer. I would suggest going to a bicycle store to buy a helmet.
While O'Brien says buying directly online from a reputable manufacturer will also work, he says going to a store will allow you to try the helmet on, and staff may be able to help you get the right fit. And finally, when you wear a helmet, he says to always make sure the strap is fastened.
If it doesn't fit or it's not compliant, then the chances are that your injury is going to be much worse than it would have otherwise.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Teens turn to Instagram and TikTok for news, entertainment, and keeping up with celebrities, and lean on Snapchat for direct messaging, posting, and socializing with friends. That's according to a new survey released Wednesday by the Pew Research Center. Michelle Faverio, one of the report's lead authors, says overall, connections are teens' most positive takeaway from using the platforms.
A big thing that teens say that they get out of these sites is connection to other people. They find people who share interests in them. It's a space that they are able to express their creativity and stay connected to family and friends.
At the same time, roughly 3/4 of teens surveyed agreed that online harassment and bullying is a problem for people their age, even if a minority reported firsthand experience with some sort of cyberbullying.
It's a family issue that parents are grappling with, and we found that overwhelmingly parents are having conversations with their teens about the teen social media use. So 85% of parents said that they've done this.
Most parents, meanwhile, told Pew social media sites hurt rather than help their teens' sleep, productivity, and mental health, with parents more likely to say their teen spends too much time on the apps and in front of their screens than the teens say themselves. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
A jury has found Live Nation and Ticketmaster operate as an illegal monopoly. The Justice Department and 39 state attorneys general had sued Live Nation, claiming it and its subsidiary Ticketmaster controlled virtually every aspect of the live music ecosystem. A second trial will determine whether to grant the state's request to break up the company or make other structural changes.
I grew up living below the poverty line. I just felt so inferior to everyone.
Those things drove him to search for an outlet. Basketball became that outlet.
And it was an eye-opener.
Two new documentaries take unique athletes beyond the headlines. Jerry West, The Logo, includes the final interviews with the late basketball star, who was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame as an Olympic player, a pro player, and a general manager, and is widely believed to be the model for the NBA logo. The film is now streaming on Prime Video.
O seu brincar vai nos ajudar a ganhar uma Copa do Mundo. Era o momento dele. Foi algo diferente, algo que fez encantar o mundo.
Meanwhile, Ronaldinho, the one and only, profiles one of the greatest soccer players of all time, from his awards and championships at every level to his free-spirited lifestyle to his legal troubles. The documentary is now streaming on Netflix. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Cryptocurrency. It's pretty stupid.
Actor and author Ben McKenzie directs the documentary Everyone is Lying to You for Money, based on his nonfiction book.
I have a degree in economics. Surely I can figure out this crypto stuff. Up against a multi-trillion-dollar industry shielded by every celebrity on the planet, I hired a film crew.
Yeah. Did you talk to my agent yet?
The hardcore base of sort of 5 to 6% of the population that really loves crypto, I show it in the film. You're never really going to be able to convince them that you're right and they're wrong. And the more they lose, the more they believe. It really does have kind of like a culty feeling.
They're building Bitcoins. It looks like a normal web of trust.
They can make the price go whatever they want.
I think I understand the appeal in the sense that we know our current system is not great. There's a lot of income inequality. A lot of people really haven't had their chance at the American dream. So that part of the story is true, but the false part is that crypto fixes this, that crypto can be a better version of it.
What do you say to the people who have been scammed?
I was crying, my wife was upset.
Shady dudes end up making most of the money.
How much have you donated to politicians?
Investors, do you have anything to say?
I mean, I'm not telling people what to do with their money. You know, they can gamble on crypto if they want to. What I am trying to do is to protect them, to give them the same protections that all investors should be afforded. The cryptocurrency industry represents the largest Ponzi scheme in history. Hundreds of millions of people worldwide have been lied to.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A nearly 100-year-old recording of famed aviator Amelia Earhart has been revived.
Something happened which has never happened before in my 12 years of flying.
It's a snippet from a speech she gave in London on May 22, 1932, broadcast to New York, detailing a heart-pounding moment while flying solo across the Atlantic on a 15-hour flight.
That is, the altimeter, the instrument required to register altitude, height above ground, period.
That crackled clip included in 78 RPM record format as a trinket in the back of Earhart's book, The Fun of It, which released 5 years before her infamous disappearance.
The hand swung around the dial in such a manner that I knew it was out of commission for the rest of the night.
94 years later, researchers at the Library of Congress found an original record. Made of cheap plastic and cardboard, the antique needed the touch of specialized equipment dubbed Irene, which uses a focal probe to map the record's grooves, creating a digital format that anyone can now listen to on the library's website. Transitioning from history to mystery, officials in Los Angeles County are asking, what exactly is this foul-smelling chunk of ice that seemingly smashed through the roof of a local home? Pictures provided by the county supervisor show the aftermath of the aerial invader's impact. A resident who was home at the time says he heard the explosion but was not hurt, finding the yellow-tinged dirty ice on the couch. In a letter to the FAA, County Supervisor Janice Hahn says the homeowner believes an airplane was overhead at the time the object crash-landed. She's asking for a thorough investigation. For Take a Look at This grossness, I'm Patrick Cornell.
Westlake police at the home of a 91-year-old woman Thursday night.
783, garage doors open. We're gonna make entry.
Police, her family, all unable to get a hold of the homeowner.
And vehicles in the garage.
The woman, a part of the city's Are You OK program. We've told you about it before.
Hello.
This is the Are You OK?
allowing residents to sign up for a daily call to check in, make sure everything's all right.
It is a really nice service that has saved lives in the past.
In January, we told you about how it led police to a woman who fell inside her home and couldn't get back up. This time, another woman not answering the call.
Everyone's a little bit alarmed that she was missing these contacts.
What would police find this time?
Westlake Police!
To protect the woman's identity, police didn't release any more of that video. But what happens next, no one would have guessed.
Turned out to be all okay. Everyone got a good laugh out of it.
Police found her all right in her room. We'll let the officers called to dispatch explain the rest.
We're here with her now. She's playing video games in her bedroom.
Police say not just playing video games, but trying to beat her record level, officers say. In the process, missing those attempts to check in on her. But we're told, thankful police came out.
Her favorite thing is belly rubs.
Rousey is not just a dog. For Eleni Eder, she's a lifeline.
This is my little girl. This is my skilled home companion from RI.
This English lab will help manage Eleni's anxiety.
She will just help me mitigate some of my ailments in an easier way. So remind me when to take my meds, bring my inhaler to me, get me off the couch, get me outside, get sunshine.
Rousey's training comes from inmates at the Tennessee Department of Corrections Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center.
5 of the women that are trainers also are CPRSs, Certified Peer Recovery Specialists, and 10 of them actually are in college courses here at the facility.
Eligible dogs enter the Retrieving Independence program and spend their days training with inmates like Brandy. She can't show her face due to prison regulations, but her words speak for themselves.
To give back to a community I've taken so much from, it's humbling. It's humbling, and it's all a sense of pride at the same time.
That hard work leads to graduation of the service dogs, a ceremony where trainers pass the leash to their permanent owner.
It never ceases to amaze me how gracious and wonderful the inmates are about passing out that dog.
With loved ones, recipients, and staff all in the room, the graduation becomes a special moment, one that can be emotional.
It's an enormous amount of emotion going through both of us, passing the leash and getting this dog that everyone's put so much love into. I already love her and can't imagine life without her.
Eleni says this program belongs in prisons, and for her, the proof is right there on the leash.
Come here, Billy. Roll over. Come here, roll over. Good girl. Yeah.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro, the Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
County 911, what's the address of your emergency room? Okay, your wife is in a bar, you said she's unresponsive.
This is what he's going to tell you.
How to get out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
Trying to find the first place to put a body. No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything?
We, the jury, and to find the defendant